Hi everyone, Alexis with PPMtv here. I am in Cape Neddick, Maine, and we are going to get a behind-the-scenes look at the Center for Wildlife. You ready? Let's go. We're going to get the opportunity to sit down with Kristen, Bob, and Bree. And as mentioned, we are going behind the curtain today. We are going to see things we never thought we would have seen otherwise. Hey everyone, we are inside the Center for Wildlife here in Cape Neddick. We're going to cover so much in our time together today. We are going to meet baby animals. We're going to speak with families and children who are here for an animal symposium. We're going to tour the entire center. The first thing we're going to do is sit down with the captain of the ship, Executive Director Kristen Lamb. As promised, we're here today with Kristen Lamb, the Executive Director of the Center for Wildlife here in Cape Neddick, Maine. Kristen, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Thanks for having us, Alexis.
So the Center for Wildlife started nearly 30 years ago, just over 30 years ago, in a trailer just around the bend from here. Can you paint a picture of the origin story of the Center for Wildlife for us?
A local veterinarian, Dr. Jerry Beekman, who just recently retired, and State Senator Don Hill kind of came together around a love of animals and wildlife and saw that there was just no place to bring, the injured mom turtle that was hit by a car on her way to lay eggs, or the nest of baby squirrels that came down after, their tree was accidentally removed. And they also saw that the community really wanted there to be a place for that. So they weren't just like creating this need, they saw people caring that much and being that in tune with nature that there was a real need for it. And they got us the trailer, no running water. We were renting from the Cape Neddick Park for the first 5 years of existence, and I think the phone rang maybe once a week. We had 100 animals that first year, no environmental education programs or interns, a couple of volunteers, and so we really were born out of the forest, just a very small team, doing their best to provide care and get animals back to the wilds. Very quickly we saw, animals were coming to us not because they were falling out of trees or they're fighting each other in the wilds. They were coming to us because they were hit by cars, because their habitats were, being destroyed for commercial or residential development, caught in fishing line, having interactions with pollutions or toxicities. So about 5% of the animals that came to us were because of some kind of natural cause, and then we saw that the other 95% were human activities, which can feel really sad or demotivating. But the thing is that if we are doing those things, that means that we can change that, and we can make a big difference and kind of lessen all that impact. So after about 5 years, our environmental education program was born, and we knew that we couldn't do our work in a vacuum, just treating animals and releasing them and not telling those stories of how they became injured, and empowering our community to shift behaviors and attitudes to make a difference and better coexist. Obviously, in our education and outreach programming, we're always sharing with the community how people can walk more gently on the earth, and how to kind of improve or allow the wild habitats in our backyards to thrive instead of changing them completely and dominating them. We knew that with this building and this big construction project, that we had an opportunity to hopefully have our building and campus serve as an inspiration for commercial and residential development. So, we cleared during January when there's the least amount of chance of disturbing nesting wildlife. We kept a very tight building envelope. We only cleared what we really needed to for the building and the grounds. And then we worked with a local landscape architect who really understood that we wanted to not, have clean fill. We wanted to have plants that didn't require a lot of extra water or herbicides and pesticides because they didn't naturally grow here. We have so many amazing wild shrubs and wildflowers and forest species that are already thriving here. So it was very important to us to maintain that. And the volume of species that we're treating and animals that we're treating, and the capacity for our team to do diagnostics and pathology and blood work and white blood cell counts and lead testing. We're really on the ground, and wildlife, every single patient that comes through here is a barometer for the overall health of the habitat that they're living in. So none of that is lost, and it's like all of our patient stories are told one way or another through our education team, through our clinic team, like explaining a volunteer how to care for that individual patient, or through the collective data that can now go and influence policy and better protections as well. During our earlier years, we were getting to know how to even just get animals back to the wild and do a really good job of providing care and proper nutrition. But the field of wildlife rehabilitation has really become formalized. Up until even 15 years ago, you couldn't even get a bachelor's of science degree in captive wildlife care and husbandry. For veterinary medicine, usually it's a portion, a very small percentage of focus. People are learning how to provide medicine for dogs and cats and domestic animals. So there wasn't a lot of rigorous science, degrees, backgrounds, even experience in providing medical care for wild animals. And then we've also, it was the environment people knew that it was important, but people weren't really understanding in our society how interconnected environmental and wildlife health are to our own health. So conservation medicine is an emerging field. It follows kind of the One Health initiative, and it's an interdisciplinary approach to providing care for wild animals, but also recording data around the interface between human and wildlife and environmental health, and also domestic animal health.
Kristen, would you mind if I read your mission statement?
Yes.
The Center for Wildlife is a private nonprofit organization whose mission it is to cultivate and strengthen relationships between humans, wildlife, and the environment, resulting in a healthier, more sustainable community.
So again, back to those early years, we saw such a need for people to understand first how our behaviors are kind of linked to our overall environmental and wildlife health, and also why it's important. I would say in those earlier years, we definitely came up against people saying why do you treat squirrels? There's so many of them, they're fine. And so in the earlier years, there was not that understanding of ecology and that interdependence, and we still have such an opportunity to crack that open and help people really understand and appreciate even more. We started with one barred owl named Bridget, and the circuit was going around to local schools and just helping people understand what is a wildlife rehabilitation center? And then we started really seeing that schools, senior centers, state parks, even our land trusts really wanted to partner with us and wanted to bring our educational programming in. And so I think by 2010, we were presenting about 50 educational programs. And so then people wanted to visit us. It was really starting to take off, and I'd say by 2014, we were saying no to really about 100 requests for field trips and on-site visits and tours every single year, which was just breaking our hearts. We had no space to host anyone. Our first educational space on site was a pavilion that was outdoors, and it fit like 25 people. And with New England and black fly season and mosquito and mud, we really could function out of that for like 4 months out of the year comfortably. So we just knew we were so crammed. The only limitation, because we did a lot of work from once the economy crashed in 2008, we did a lot of work as an organization just to be able to be sustainable and even thrive. When that economy hit, people took for granted, had been taking for granted of goodwill, and we did not have a diversified fundraising strategy. We didn't have earned income. We kind of didn't know how long we could live off of the funding that we had. It was kind of like month by month as we went. And so that did not feel great to be able to serve the need of our community. And also, we have wildlife ambassadors that live in sanctuary with us that we have committed to them for their full lives. So we knew that we needed a lot of work internally, kind of infrastructure-wise. And so we've always had such amazing support from the community and interest in volunteering. And if our staffing team was 5, our volunteer team was 150. We're at 15 staff now, and we still have 100 volunteers and growing. There's no state or federal funding available for medical treatment of wild animals, and that is definitely Center for Wildlife's largest expense. One year we hit 2,500 injured and orphaned wild animals, and as development pressures and a changing climate continue, that number will only continue to increase. So we raise all of our own funding. Folks had asked us about our $6.5 million building, and if we had large benefactors or government funding, and we don't. We do have a couple of municipalities that do vote to direct a portion of some funds towards us. Because we help their animal control officers and respond to wildlife calls. Our wildlife assistance hotline fields like 60,000 phone calls a year as well. So we raise all of our own funding. About 60% of it comes from individuals, and that can be, we have someone who donates about $2 every single month, and she's been doing that for the past 18 years, or folks that are in a position to make a stretch gift and a large, maybe a state gift or a bequest, and everything in between. And we also, local businesses do support the Center for Wildlife. People often think like corporate funding, corporation funding is a large percentage of how nonprofits are funded. That actually usually is only between 5 and 7% every year of nonprofit funding, but our local businesses are better than that. So that usually makes up between 11 and 13% of our donations every single year. When people come to visit us, that funding actually goes right back to support our mission work. So the visitors fees, if people become members to the Center for Wildlife, when they come to an owl prowl or one of our Make Way for Wild Babies or other events, all of that funding, that earned income, also goes towards supporting our mission work. So there's so many different ways to get involved. People can volunteer and donate their time if they're not in a position to donate funds, and we are truly 100% community driven, and there's a million ways for people to get involved and support our work, no matter what their situation is.
That was a great opportunity to sit down with Kristen Lamb. Kristen is the Executive Director here at the Center for Wildlife. Now I get the chance to make my way into the Nature Center, where we meet with Bob Dale. Bob is the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator here at the Center.
Hi, I'm Bob Dale. I'm our Marketing and Outreach Coordinator here at the Center for Wildlife. We sort of have two main pillars of the organization: our medical clinic work, which is how we were founded, the primary work we do, the working with wild animals coming to us, injured, orphaned, with the hopes of releasing them to the wild. A lot of these friends unfortunately cannot go back out to the wild for a variety of reasons, whether that be permanent injury, imprinting on humans. These animals that cannot go back out to the wild, we have a few options in ways in which we can provide incredible lives for both of them and then opportunities for the public to learn about those species. These animals that we've adopted either on our team or perhaps transferred to other facilities are what we call ambassadors for their species. These ambassador animals are these animals that live with us full time and allow us to educate both about their species, their individual stories, ways in which people can help conserve and protect some of those species, the habitats in which they live, and it allows people to make these really incredible personal connections with animals. Obviously, there's not many opportunities you have in the wild to get within a couple feet of a great horned owl, have that eye-to-eye connection, or Henry the porcupine, perchance, walking around. So our ambassador animals, all of whom are trained and socialized to be comfortable being around people to the point where we are able to take them out on programs. Off-site from the center, people can come visit our animals here. All of these animals are incredible at providing those opportunities for people to make those deep connections and really, really pull on those heartstrings a little bit for people to, get involved in both our work, other conservation work in our region, and really, really making these connections so that they can leave the center here feeling empowered that they can do something about protecting some of these animals in their area. We are really blessed in this area to have not only individuals that support us and have supported us for years, but a lot of local businesses that are really interested in the conservation work that we're doing, or have missions that align with ours as well. So these business partnerships that we've sort of fostered over the years, so a lot of them have just very organically grown over the years, are really incredible opportunities for both local businesses and the Center for Wildlife to sort of partner with our resources and allow some of these organizations and businesses to really get involved with our work. So we're incredibly grateful for them. And a lot of our local greenhouses have provided us over the years with plants not only around our campus, our pollinator garden, for example, all of those plants were donated to us by Wentworth Greenhouses, Sweet Fern Nurseries as well. And then for some of our veggie gardens, which actually supply some fresh veg and some plants for our animals in care. But we also have a lot of other partners that we do educational opportunities with. We have a lot of breweries that we travel to the animals with and do some educational meet and greets in some of the tap rooms. And not only do we do these opportunities for educational purposes out in the community, but a lot of these organizations also help support us financially in supporting different aspects of our medical clinic, parts of our campus, learning opportunities here. Patagonia Freeport, for example, is one of our sponsors that was able to sponsor one of our aquatic species recovery tubs, and we built a very specialized recovery tub that allows a lot of our seabird species, some of our aquatic reptiles as well, to have a really naturalistic environment to grow in. So we're incredibly grateful for those business partners that we built relationships with over the years, and we're always looking for more. So definitely encourage people to have a look at our website. If you're in the area, local business owner, come up, pay us a visit. We would love to chat about ways we could potentially partner. The easiest source of all the information is obviously right on our website, thecenterforwildlife.org. But here on our campus, we're really trying to create a community campus for all. So we are not only trying to provide educational opportunities for members of the public to come and learn about wildlife, but really creating spaces where local organizations, conservation-driven organizations can come in and use our space to host events. So we have our auditorium, our outdoor amphitheater, and a whole interconnected campus that we are really encouraging people to come utilize us as a resource as well for space to really create and bolster some of these opportunities for community and collaborative learning. So members of the public can always find our entire list of public events right on our website. Throughout the year, we host a very wide variety of public events, straight through our winter months as well. We have a lot of local partners, some educators that we also partner with on some incredible adult-oriented educational opportunities, all the way down to our little Where the Wild Kids Are toddler times, which we host every first and third Wednesday of the month. So we really try and make sure that we are covering all of our bases to provide learning opportunities for members of the public of all ages. I always like to say kids of all ages, because when you're here, you definitely are energized. That little inner child comes out no matter what the age is. So all of that information can be found right on our website. So here at the center, we are open for public visits throughout the year where you can come meet these ambassador animals. But like we mentioned, you can rent some of our spaces for your organization, for your event, holiday party. But then we also host a variety of conferences throughout the year, a whole wide series of public programs, and then we also travel off-site with our ambassadors as well. So you can book a program with us. Our educators can travel to you in your classroom, library, organization. So highly encourage people to look right on our website for all that information. Reach out to us or just pop in, come say hi. We'd love to chat.
That was a great chat with Bob. Bob is the Marketing and Outreach Director here at the Center for Wildlife. We are moving through the building, heading over to the medical clinic, and we're going to meet with Bree Fleet. She's going to tell us a bit about animal intake, what happens after they leave our care and come into the care for the Center for Wildlife.
I'm Bree Fleet. I'm one of the wildlife specialists here at the Center for Wildlife. We can accept about 150 different species here at the center, and of those 150 different species that we take, that amounts to about 2,000 admits every single year. So we have limitations in place. One of the main reasons is so that we can provide the highest quality care for those 2,000 patients that we do take every single year. If we were able to take every single species that is here in the state of Maine, that would compromise our quality of care, and that's the highest. We want to have the highest standard when it comes to that. We also need to make sure that we are keeping the public safe, because we do have the public here on site. So having more rabies vector species on site would just have a higher risk of exposure, and we want to make this a safe environment for everybody. There's also smaller home-based rehabbers around the area that do take those animals that are within our limitations. So we are able to have a really good balance in this area for the animals all being taken care of. So those are kind of what our limitations are and kind of why we have those in place. The primary reasons we see animals come in are all pretty much human related in some way or another. The top reasons we get admissions here at the center have to do with vehicle collisions, domestic animal interactions, nest destruction, and habitat loss, as well as window strikes. So all of those do come back to having some sort of human implication. Generally, the process is they come into our facility and we give them that necessary time to decompress. They've just been through an extremely stressful event, so giving that time to sit and rest. Everybody gets that when they come in through the doors. And then their next step is going through a physical exam. Every single patient that comes to us gets a full physical exam, so we can look for any possible signs of injury or illness. We want to make sure we have the full picture, which a lot of times we don't know why the animal was injured in the first place, so this is a crucial step in determining what we're going to go forward with, treatment plan wise, or if that decision for their treatment plan would be humane euthanasia, we also have to make that call then as well. But we are lucky enough to be able to provide a safe and comfortable place where they can pass. And if they are showing signs of progression, we can just continually monitor them while they're here, make sure they have the correct medications, the correct care, and they are progressing towards release. There is a lot that goes into that. There's many, many factors. It's all kind of comes into play with what the injury is, what the animal is. Sometimes they would not be able to live a healthy lifestyle in captivity due to either their behavior or what their injury was, and so you have to take that into consideration. Some species can live up to 20 plus years, so putting them in that situation where they are now in captivity for that long with a painful injury or a high stress personality is just not a good fit, so you have to take into account those factors, as well as spacing. We do have a lot of wonderful ambassadors here, but we currently don't have a lot of space to just keep adding to that. And so if we were to find an animal that was a good candidate for placement, we'd have to do a lot of research into other facilities that are equipped to take those animals. So it's a very long process that has many, many factors that go into deciding that. We have 4 full-time in the clinic staff, and that includes one of those includes our medical operations director, and then there's the 3 wildlife specialists. We have a staff that has a diverse background, whether it's directly working with captive wildlife or more ecology and zoology, but there's so many programs out there, so just kind of connecting with those and seeing what kind of environment would be good for you to learn in, because there's so many options out there now, so that's amazing. And then to get hands-on into that, we have internships here as well as apprenticeships, so finding those opportunities. A lot of schools will actually give students credit to do those hands-on experiences. So right now we have our spring interns in. Interns do a few-week section at a time. The apprentices stay here with us for 10 months at a time, so there's a few different opportunities there. And we do have the on-site housing now, so we're able to take students from across the country now, which is amazing. We've had someone come to us from as far as California, so being able to work with that different wildlife in a different environment is a super huge thing to get that learning experience. So we do offer those programs year-round, and getting that hands-on experience is super, super important as a student looking into this field. We can offer hours towards people's licenses to become a rehabilitator, but even if it's something you just want to help out with and be a part of at a smaller scale, we take volunteers just to kind of be a part of it and do your part in that sense. You don't have to be looking for a career or looking to do this outside of the center. Just coming in to help is a huge thing. If you find any animal that you think needs help, definitely give our hotline a call. That's one of the first things, because from there we can kind of determine if it is in need of intervention or not. And that's a huge thing, like you said, especially baby season this time of year. You might see a fledgling on the ground and they look pretty helpless, hopping around and trying to learn how to fly and be an adult, but they actually are still being taken care of by their parents and don't need any intervention at all. So we could field that phone call and be able to keep that animal in the wild. So being able to call that hotline, get all the information, and we can help you determine if it is in need of intervention. And then from there, we can help you safely capture and transport that animal to our facility. The hotline is not just limited to the state of Maine, and it's not just limited to the species that we do take. It's open 7 days a week from 9 to 5 as well. So being able to call and find resources for other rehabbers, or if you're having trouble with wildlife in the area, calling for advice on those situations, we can help with way more than just orphaned and injured wildlife.
Just want to say a big thank you to all of our community supporters out there over the years, and highly encourage anyone that has not come down to visit us here at our new community campus to come pay us a visit here at 375 Mountain Road in Cape Neddick, Maine.
I'm really into animals and everything I love about them. I love the owls. My favorite animal was the little red-tailed hawk. He was beautiful.
I love that the snake was like the corn snake underneath. There was like corn pattern.
I love the little turtles, the tortoises, because they're so cute.
Everything looks very clean. The animals are very well taken care of. When I go to places that have animals, that's the first thing that I notice. I won't support animals, places with animals that are not taken care of. But we will be back. It's our first time here. I will be telling people about this.
Thank you, Center for Wildlife.